kind of is all encapsulated in her name. You look at that name, Severn Cullis Suzuki, and you see feminism, you see environmentalism, you see activism. It's a hell of a moniker to carry. Much like Sasha, Sev, if I may, Sev writes for print and appears on television and preaches the good word and is going to talk to us about what exactly?
Stuff.
Stuff. Severn Cullis Suzuki.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Severn Cullis Suzuki. That was a great introduction, by the way. And I'm very honored to be here today. It's an honor to listen to all the ideas. I've been public speaking since I was about 11 years old. And what do I speak about? Surprise, surprise, the environment. I think that most people, when they think of the environment, they think of something external, maybe Kyoto, maybe global warming, maybe they think of crazy old David Suzuki. We don't think about our environment as simply where we exist. And we're all human animals in this room tonight. We're all acutely dependent on our surroundings for our survival, for our existence. So we all have to be concerned about our environment. These are pretty interesting times that we live in. That's such a cliched opening statement. But if you get the chance to take advantage of our modern technology, of the access we have to this planet, you become aware that there's some pretty serious issues going on. And it's not only a matter of biodiversity, it's not only a matter of natural habitat being destroyed, it's also a matter of cultural diversity. And maybe some of you who were here last year heard my friend Wade Davis speak about the ethnosphere. And he calls it the ethnosphere, which he says is the sum total of the planet's human, traditional, and cultural knowledge. It's a sphere of human ideas. And this ethnosphere at the moment is shrinking because we are losing languages, because we are losing cultures. We're losing traditional practices. We're losing traditional knowledge. And so today, here we're talking about ideas. There are whole realms of thinking and ideas and ways of perceiving the world that we haven't even, there's no way we can represent here. They exist in remote areas on this planet. And many of them may not survive to the next generation. So we live in a time where we live in a time of simultaneous opening up of potential and possibility, yet at the same time shrinking of a window of possibility in terms of diversity and biodiversity. And growing up in a family that likens human beings to bacterium in a test tube, I think that the only logical way of progressing, the only humane way of progressing forward is finding a sustainable way of living. And it makes sense. I heard a great quote from the president of the Marshall Islands 2 years ago at the Johannesburg summit. And he said, humanity did not progress from the Stone Age to the Bronze Age because we ran out of stones. Nor did we progress from the Bronze Age because we ran out of bronze. We progressed because of innovation and ingenuity for a better way of living. And to me, that's what sustainability is about. It's about making the next step in a way of human living. So to try to get people to act, I've been doing a lot of talking, and I've been speaking especially to my peers, talking to other North Americans, to other Canadians, because I've realized that we are a big part of the equation in terms of our global transition towards a sustainable way of living. We're a big part of the problem. We consume most of the world's resources. As members of the developed world, we consume most of the world's resources, and we also contribute to most of the world's global pollution. And for example, by the age of 6 months, each Canadian has consumed as much resources as the average person growing up in the developed world will in her lifetime. So that's the kind of position that we have as North Americans. There is an incredible power when your actions align with your ideals. I actually have my notes written on my hand. But I was kind of nervous, so I can't really read them anymore. I thought it'd be great. I could make my points. And two, a lot of North Americans, I think, are afraid of making a transition to a more sustainable way of living. I think we're afraid of giving up some of our comfort. But I think we've got to really think about what is comfort and what is quality of life. I think we're getting so comfortable that we're getting fat, that our quality of life is eroding because of our convenience. And that's a whole tangent that I think many people in this audience could go off about. A lot of North Americans also feel very powerless. We know, okay, I feel guilty, I know I'm doing something wrong, but what can I do about it? And this is a sentiment that I see all the time, especially in our young people. And I disagree with this. We are powerful. In the context of the global population, we sitting in this room are incredibly powerful. We are literate. We are educated. We speak English in a world where English is the most widely used language. We live in a democracy. We even live in a small democracy where we could actually communicate with our elected leaders. Although after the debate last night, I don't know that we'd want to. We have been born into a small part of human beings, of humanity, that doesn't face major challenges to our daily life. And I think we might even be the most powerful generation of people that have ever lived because of our opportunities, because of our technology, because of our communication, because of our ability to travel. So we are powerful. Okay, so we're powerful, so then what do we do? How do we direct our actions? How do we contribute to making this next step towards sustainability, towards a better way of living? I speak to many audiences, and often I ask the audience, what are the things that are most important to you? What are the things that make your life enjoyable? And people always say the same things. They say family, they say their children, they say their community, good food, music, art, creativity, health. They say the same things. And I think it's because we all share some very basic values. They're values that we learn when we're very young, when we're really little. They come from when you learned not to hit your brother and to share with your friends, not to be greedy, when you learn to clean up after yourself. And then as you grow up, you start seeing that actually a lot of these values that we're all taught, actually they're not always promoted in mainstream culture. They're not always promoted on TV. In fact, you flick on the television and most likely you'll see that actually buying stuff and making money, those are the most important things. And actually, those things that we think give our lives meaning and are valuable are often not given any economic value at all and are even compromised the more we follow the money. This is a paradox. And when you graduate from school, when you graduate from high school or graduate from college, you go from being encouraged and told to follow your dreams and your ideals, and suddenly you're told, okay, you have to get realistic. You have to make a living. And suddenly you're taught that not only is it acceptable, but it is expected that you compromise what your beliefs are and start living and working a different set of beliefs. This is what I think makes people cynical. This is a paradox. I think we have to counter this paradox. I think this is what our generation's task is to counter this cynicism. And the only way that we can do that is if we find ways to work and live in a way that doesn't absolutely contradict what our fundamental values are. You might think that I'm young and idealistic, which I am, but I want to tell you that most of my heroes are old and idealistic. And I was so glad, I was so inspired that we were being called idealists at this conference, that we're all referred to as such, because there is an incredible power when your actions align with your ideals, when you believe in what you believe in. And I think that everybody who is speaking on this stage today and over the next few days represents what happens when actions align with ideals. So I can't ask you, I don't feel comfortable asking any audience, anyone to simply adopt what I believe in, to simply do what I tell you to. But I can ask you to think about what is really important to you, and then to try to live up to those beliefs. Thank you.